plant-based schnitzel.
They're going to make it out of bugs.
For the challenge, plant-based schnitzel.
Oh, Alan, you're funny.
I'm funny.
All right. Welcome to Garden of the Spirit, a class studying apples from the orchard for the second time beginning after Pesach 2014. This class meets in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe, Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. Apples from the Orchard contain selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. Okay, so last week we started the chapter and didn't finish. Basically, we went through the questions. Questions were fairly straightforward and uncomplicated. Today, we are going to go the second half of the chapter, which is the answers, and extremely complicated. So we're going to do our best. Let's see what we got here. Share screen. So I don't know, we might get done in half an hour. It might take 45 minutes. I don't know. Okay, so to review from last week, we have the mitzvah for the lulav and esrog. The Torah says to take the esrog, lulav, the hadas, which is myrtle, and the hadas, which is myrtle, and the arava, which is the willow. And the Torah has special descriptions of them. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai tells in the Zohar that these correspond to the 7 lower spheras. Okay, forget about the letters of Avaya also, but that's less, I think less important. Hold on, my son's making this. Hello? Hello? You want to join my Kabbalah class?
Oh,
It's a Kabbalah class. You want to join the Kabbalah class? Thank you. Okay, so first comes and so the 7 lower spheres are what we call the midos. Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchus. First, there are 3 branches of myrtle. So this corresponds to the first 3 of the spheres of emotions, Chesed, Gvur, and Tiferes. Next, we have 2 branches of Arava. That corresponds to the next 2, Netzach and Hod. The Esrog corresponds the Lulav. Lulav corresponds to Yesod. And Esrog corresponds to Malchus. We had a bunch, so we cover all 7 lower spheres. We have a bunch of questions. If according to the spheres, the Torah lists them totally out of order. Either it should start at the top and go down, that's Hadas, myrtle, Arava, willow, then the Lulav, and then the Esrog. Or the Torah should have gone from the bottom up. Esrog first, which it does. Lulav second, Yesod, which it does. And then it should have done Arava third. Arava is for numbers 7 and 8. And then gone to Hadas last, which are numbers 4, 5, and 6. So what actually doing is going from the lowest, Esrog lowest, the Lulav second lowest, and then it goes to the highest, to the Hadas, and then the last one is the Arava. So it goes bottom, then the next to bottom, then the top, and then the second from the top. So the order is, there's a famous medrash that aligns, that compares the 4 plants to 4 parts of the body. The esrog is the heart. The lulav is the spine. The myrtle has, like, the leaves are shaped like eyes, and the willow leaves are shaped like the mouth. So you have eyes, mouth, spine, and heart. So the lulav is for the spine, and yesod is, I guess, not part of the spine, not part of the spine is the torso. And in Kabbalah, we talk about the torso, that would be a chesed, gvura, tiferes, netzach, and hod. And I guess yesod is the bris milah, and that would be below the torso. How can we tie three together, but not the esrog? The esrog malchus, that's out. And the Gemara, if I remember correctly, the Gemara explains how we know we do it like that. We had that in our Gemara class a few years ago. The directions we wave them in are totally out of order. I'm sorry. The directions we wave them in are in order. Chesed is to the south if you're facing east. Main thing isn't right, left, and all that. The main thing is which direction is. If you're facing east, then it works out. So Chesed to the south, Gvura to the north, Tiferes to the east, Netzach up, Hod down, and Yesod to the west. But then Malchus is left out of that. When we walk around the bima, we walk around 7 times. We wave it in the direction it's only 6 times. We walk around the bima, we walk around 7 times. So why is that different? If Esther compares to the heart, it's also corresponds to Malchus. Malchus is not the heart. So there, we had a whole bunch of questions like this. If the Hadas corresponds to the eyes, why do we have 3 branches of Hadas? Aliens. And it says here February 27th, 2024 is today. So he gives an answer. He starts the answer, an introduction, and I don't understand what the introduction has to do with anything that we're going to read. Okay, so that's that. That was the questions, pretty straightforward. We're now on 636. Here comes the answer. And the answer is going to be from here to the end. The problem is that he doesn't say the answer explicitly. But it could be that based on what he says, maybe we'll figure out an answer. From here on, 20. Are you all with me?
Yep.
Okay, good. From here on, the Arizal discusses how the interaction between Zerampin and Nukva works. It's going to sound very involved and technical. But we keep in mind how technical the human body is. For example, we have many fields of medicine. We have doctors who are specialists in just one field. Before I go on, I would like to talk about this. So when we talk about Ze'er Anpin and Nukva or Malchus, it could be called either one. When we talk about we talk about the Ze'er Anpin is the male set of spheras, and Malchus, which is the female sphera, and then they interact. The technical term is zivug. Zivug means a couple, to be married. I guess so. That's why a lot they translated here is coupling. I don't like that word. Yeah. A decouple is what the bad guys do or Harrison Ford does it to the trains, right? He decouples the train, and this decouples the cars, and this one car goes ahead, the other one goes behind. So the word is zug in Hebrew is a couple, including to a married couple is called a zug. The verb is or it's also zivug is a partner, is coupling. So the metaphor that we use for the interaction between Zerampin and Malchus, and they have an interaction. They work together. What's interaction? You pour this chemical, you pour this a substance into the test tube. You pour that substance into the test tube. You shake it up, boom, and you get some kind of interaction between them. So for Zerampin and Malchus, we compare it to the interaction between husband and wife, called intimacy. Obviously, intimacy gets, I guess it gets very technical. There's a lot in there. When we talk about the human body, there's a lot in there. Right? You have this problem, you go to this doctor specialist. You have that problem, you go to that specialist. I once had a problem with my jaw. I'm like, who do I go to? Do I go to the dentist? Do I go to my regular doctor? In the end, I think the dentist figured it out for me. I had a really good dentist. I'm tired now. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh bidbaro.
Amen.
So we always talk about the interaction, and it's fairly, and you think like, how complicated could it get? Okay, but you get a prescription. I don't know if you've ever had that. The pharmacist says to you, we had a problem with your prescription. I had to call the doctor because you're also taking something else. And I had to, you can't take them both. So I had to call the doctor to change it. I know someone who passed away, a young guy, and apparently the doctor gave a prescription that, what do you call it? That didn't go with something else the person was taking.
Counteract.
Counteract. There's a technical term.
No, reacted.
What?
You reacted with it.
There's a technical term. So anyways, whatever. Thank you. It's not so important. So things get very, very involved. In order for intimacy to take place, I mean, there's a number of stuff. I don't know what the alternatives are. Physiological, biological. There's all kinds of different things that happen and have to happen in order. So if you say what part of the body is involved, well, the obvious part for us men, us guys, there's the bris milah is involved. Fine. There's other things involved too. The person's whatever. The mind is involved. The body is involved. The chemicals that go on, I have no idea what that is. Either the nerves or the chemicals that must happen, must take place. The body has to produce seed. So it's very involved and technical. And when we talk about Zerampin and Malchus, say, okay, they interact. Like, what's the big deal? Here we're going to get technical. So you think, well, how technical could it get? In the physical metaphor, it's very technical. So it's not a surprise that it's going to be a little more technical here. So I do want to point out that we're going to be talking here about das. Das is usually, we translate it as knowledge, but it's probably a little bit more than that. I guess that your mind has to be involved one way or another in order to, and it's part of the process of intimacy. So that whatever your mind, your brain, your
Adam knew Eve. Das. No. In Breshit.
Yeah, so the Torah refers to intimacy as das, which we have spoken about, but that's which itself is unusual, but I guess it talks about, this is where it starts. This is where it starts. We say every day in the Shema, several times a day, at the end, v'lo sasuru, and don't be drawn after, acharei levavachem v'acharei nechem, after your heart and after your eyes. Your eyes see something, and then your heart, then it inspires the heart, or it gets the heart going. So and there we're talking about things that are bad. Obviously, for marriage is holy, and intimacy in marriage is very holy. So with that introduction, it says that it starts with Das, and Das is the third of the 10 spheres after Chachma and Bina. So Das is in the intellect, and it's part of the first three spheres. And before here with Esrog and Lulav, we're talking about the lower seven. Das is the source of the states of Chesed, and Chesed is the first sphere of Zerampin. So the states of Chesed produce the seed that's injected in Nukva during interaction. Again, I think I explained it here. I think I repeat it. That Chesed produces the seed that's injected in Nukva during interaction. The interaction between Zerampin and Nukva pumps the flow of divine energy through the process of creation, and in the metaphor, we would call that birth or childbirth. Over here, what gets born or what gets produced is the next stage of creation. It pumps or keeps the flow of divine energy moving forward. Okay, Alan, this is on 636 in any case.
In any case, what always strengthens the body and makes it grow is the states of chesed, which produce the drop of semen that initiates the birth process. The source and position of these states of chesed is das. The body here is the spheres that correspond anatomically to the torso and its limbs. That is, the spheres from chesed to malchus. We have explained previously that the states of chesed and gevura within das are the subjective aspects of the intellect, the propensities of attraction and repulsion toward and against the implications of an idea based on what it means for the individual.
Okay, thank you. Now, the Arizal quotes 4 phrases from Tanakh and Talmud about Das and relates each of the 4 phrases to the Kabbalistic meaning of Das. Number 1 says, through wisdom, a house is built, and through knowledge, or through Das, its rooms become filled with dear and pleasant treasures. Kabbalistically, it means that Das is the source of chesed that vitalizes Ze'er Anpin, which we just said in number 20. Okay, in the physical metaphor, I'm thinking like all the different parts. There's the seed that has to be produced too. Besides the mind doing its job and the bris milah doing what it's supposed to do, and then part of that is that the seed has to be produced as well. So it sounds to me like this is what the compares to what it compares to in real in Kabbalah. 2b. So there's a statement in the Gemara that says that erection only occurs with das, or not knowledge, with intent is a better word. This says over there it talks about in the Talmud about someone being forced. I wrote in this case intent. About someone being forced to have relations with someone that would be forbidden to him. So in Kabbalah, it means the interaction, or that interaction, it means that interaction between Ze'er and Nukva happens because of Das. That is this again, that's the source of chesed of Ze'er Anpin. Actually, it probably has to be explained here. It's this is very close. That erection only occurs with Das intent. C. Rabbi Ami says, it is forbidden to have compassion for someone who does not have das, knowledge. In this case, it possibly means intelligence. I didn't see an explanation for this. Everyone says, what do you mean? What do you mean? So, and he continues as it says, for it is not a nation of knowledge, therefore its maker will not show it mercy, and its creator will not be gracious unto it. So I did look this up and I prepared it. It's in, don't remember. You guys, you could look it up and find the source. So in this, there's a Hasidic saying that if it's forbidden to have compassion for such a person, how much more so do you have to have Rahmanas on him? That's in this case, it appears the meaning is if there is no das, there can be no states of chesed, which is a form of compassion. It's forbidden to have compassion or chesed for someone who does not have das. In other words, chesed can only come if there's from das. And D, for the soul to be without knowledge is not good. The soul needs dat to exist. Okay, go ahead, Alan. Bottom of 636.
Of Das it is written, and with Das the rooms are filled, meaning that sorry, that the states of Chesed within Das spread out to water the body and make it grow. This is the mystical meaning of the sage's statement that there is no erection without Das, meaning that the root of the whole body is alluded to and rooted in Das. For this reason, it is forbidden to show mercy to someone who has no Das. It is also said that without Das, a soul is not good, for the soul needs to live.
Okay, 22. The vitality of the soul is contained in Das. The mitzvahs and good deeds of people on earth causes vitality in Das to flood the 7 lower spheres with divine energy. Okay, T-O. Again, so we're saying that Das is where it comes from. That's right now we're for today's lesson, Das is the most important one. The people here on earth, we do mitzvahs, we do good deeds. These cause the vitality in Das, the energy that causes the world to exist. It inspires Das or triggers Das to flood the lower spheres with divine energy. And then Zeir Anpin is able to interact with Nukva, with Malchus. Okay, go ahead, Alan.
Thus, the source of all 7 spheres and their vitality is stored within Das. From there, the life force spreads out and causes all 7 spheres to develop. But the origin and root always remain within Das, and it only spreads forth in response to the deeds of those in the lower worlds and their arousal of it through acts here below. Their acts cause the upper levels to be aroused and give additional light of Das into the 7 lower spheres. And from the plenitude of light that enters the body, it bestows and adds greatly throughout the 7 spheres.
Okay, so, and I think we're gonna say it here, what we just said, that it depends on our actions in this world of good deeds, of mitzvahs, of the mitzvahs that we do. The and that causes things to happen. It is called in Kabbalah Mayin Nukvin, feminine waters. And in the metaphor, it would be like the wife initiating or saying or acting in a way that arouses desire in the husband. Okay, 23. Trying to keep this a family show. Das contains 5 states of chesed and 5 states of gvura. These, and we've had this many times. These states of chesed and gvura cause interaction to occur. In other places, they're called male waters and female waters. All 10 states are associated with names Havaya, of Hashem's name, Yud K, Vav K. So the 5 states of Chesed and 5 states of Gvura are contained within Das. Okay. Jim, are you ready?
Yep.
637 in the middle.
This Das comprises states of Chesed, states of Gevurah. All couplings are affected through these states of Chesed, acting as male waters, and these states of Gevurah, acting as female waters. These 10 are 10 simple names Chavaya. The masculine ones extend to the male parts of Zeranpin, particularly to its Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod. In contrast, its Yesod and Malchus, that is the crown of Yesod, do not possess the states of Chesed, as in the case with the first 5 of the 7 Midot, for there are only 5 states of Chesed.
Okay, thank you. So this was I should have read 24 also. The 5 states of Chesed extend from Das to the next 5 spheres. Chesed, number 4, Chesed, number 5, Gvura, number 6, Tiferes, number 7, Netzach, and number 8, Hod. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, and Hod. The last 2 spheres, Yesod and Malchus, do not receive a state of Chesed because there are only 5, and the 2 youngest get left out. 25. The 5 states of Gvura extend from Das to Nukva. Specifically, a Nukva is the feminine sphera, and it's identified as Malchus, specifically to the sub-spheras. Remember, sub-spheras are, each sphera contains a microcosm of the 10 spheras. We call those subspheras, like subcategories. Specifically to the subspheras of Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, and Hod within Malchus.
Okay.
Like Zeranpin, the subspheras, Yesod and Malchus, within Nukva do not receive states of Gvura from Das. What I understand is that we're now looking at Malchus, the feminine sphera, the 5 states of Gvura go into Malchus. Where in Malchus? The 5 sub-spheras of Malchus, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, and Hod.
Mhm.
And Yesod of Malchus and Malchus of Malchus do not get any. So now we have 5 states of Gvura in Zeranpin. 5 states of Chesed in Zeranpin, and 5 states of Gvura in Malchus. Now we've learned in other places that when the interaction occurs, I guess in an optimum way, an optimal way, then the states of Gvura in Malchus, and Gvura is judgment, aggressive, strict justice. the states of Gvura get sweetened or tempered. And that's good. That's how things are supposed to work. Jim continues 637, the same.
The same applies to the states of Gevurah that extend into Malchus, the female parts of Nukva to Zeranpin. They spread out into her Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach Hod, as do the states of Chesed, through the male parts of.
Now, what happens? 26. Yesod and Malchus of Zeranpin are not left without Chesed. But we just said that they don't get Chesed.
Right.
A general state of the 5 states of Chesed extends to Yesod and the crown of Yesod. This crown of Yesod may refer to Malchus of Ze'er Anpin. So, and I think it does say that specifically later. This general state of Chesed prepares them to receive, or I say this general state of Chesed prepares them to receive the 5 states of Chesed from Ze'er Anpin, so Yesod can interact with Malchus. I didn't want to change the word general. There might be another word might be a diffused state of Chesed, not a focused state of Chesed, but a diffused state of Chesed. So that it has it peripherally, but not in an actual manner. Okay, Jim, you can read the next part. As for
Yesod and Malchus of Zeranpin, the general radiance of the 5 states of Chesed descends to them from Das. This general radiance extends to Yesod and to the crown of Yesod too, in order to prepare them to receive the 5 states of Chesed themselves.
Okay, and 27, same applies to Yesod and Malchus of Nukva. A general state of the 5 states of Gvura extends to Yesod and Malchus of Nukva. This general state of Gevura, of Chesed, I think it means Gevura,
Gevurah.
prepares them to receive 5 states of Gvura from Nukva, so Yesod can interact with Malchus. Bottom of the page.
The same applies to Yesod and Malchus of Nukva. They also receive the general radiance of the states of Gevurah in order to prepare them to receive later, the 5 states of Gevurah themselves.
Okay. 28. Now these general states of Chesed and Gvura these general states of Chesed and Gvura come from Das into Yesod and Malchus. They prepare Yesod and Malchus of Zeranpin and Malchus of Nukva to receive the seed from the 5 states of Chesed and 5 states of Gvura. If they would not receive the general state of Chesed and Gvura, they would not be able to receive the 5 states of Chesed and 5 states of Gevura. Go ahead.
This general light that spreads through Yesod comes to them, that is Yesod and Malchus of Zeranpin from Das, preparing it to receive afterwards the drop of semen from the totality of the preceding 5 Sifirot. For were they not to receive this general radiance, they would not afterwards be able to receive the states of Chesed themselves as a drop of semen is mentioned.
Go ahead.
Similarly, the same applies to the parts of Malchus with regard to the states of Gevurah.
All right. 29. How far do we go? 32. Thus, there are 7 total states of Chesed, the 5 states of Chesed, and 2 general states for Yesod and Malchus of Ze'er Anpin. There are also 7 total states of Gvura, the 5 states of Gvura, and 2 general states for Yesod and Malchus of Nukva. Yitzchak, are you able to read?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. We're at thus there are 5 states of Chesed,
Yes.
right? Okay. Thus there are 5 states of Chesed. Their general radiance for Yesod of Zer Anpin and their general radiance for Malchut of Zer Anpin. These add up to 7. And likewise for the Partsuf of Malchut, it is veritably constructed from the 5 states of Gevurah, which cause it to develop just as the states of Chesed do for the male Partsuf, as is known.
Okay. Thanks. So now the Arizal poses a question. Why are there only 5 states of Chesed and Gvura? Why didn't Hashem create 7 states so that each of the 7 midos would have its own and not have to rely on a general state? Okay, like you can ask this question anywhere, right? Why did he create traffic? Why did he create missed field goals? Right? I don't know. Okay, foul balls. Why? But okay. But that's what he asks. Okay. Yitzchak, go ahead.
Now that we have explained all this, it is time for me to tell you another principle. We should ask, why are there only 5 states of Chesed, which shine into Chesed Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, while for Yesod and Malchut there is only a general radiance, as we've explained. God could have made it so there were 7 states of Chesed, each of the 7 midot receiving the light of one state of Chesed. The same question may be asked about the states of Gevurah.
Okay, so 31. The Arizal answers, all the limbs of the body, hands, feet, and torso perform functions. The legs walk, and the hands make things and perform tasks, and so on. They are all constantly active. Yesod, on the other hand, is constantly active in its spiritual sense. But in the physical sense, the limb of Yesod is limp, except when it's needed for intimacy. Yesod was personified by Yosef. The Zohar says in the beginning of the Torah, Yosef was born. This means that Yosef comes to life when it's time to procreate. Let me change that. Again, whoa. Zohar says that in the beginning of the Torah, Yosef was born. Yosef, we know, is Yesod. So this means that Yesod comes to life when it's time to procreate. Okay. Does that answer the question? We'll just talk about that in a minute. Yitzchak, go ahead, read the next paragraph. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, read the next paragraph.
The answer is as follows. All the limbs of the body, the hands, the feet, and the torso perform functions. Walking with the legs, artistry and deeds with the hands, and similarly the torso, which is the stem of the legs and hands, they are always active. The limb of Yesod, on the other hand, has only a spiritual, not physical function, and then only from time to time. It remains flaccid except during marital relations. This is why it is said in the Zohar that Yosef was born. It means that when Zer Anpin wants to couple with Nukva and all the lights of the higher spirit spread through it, it comes to life.
Okay, how does that answer the question? Okay, so that's why there are only 5 states of Gvura, of Chesed and Gvura. Because Yesod is not constantly active. Anyway, and the 5 states of Chesed and Gvura are for the limbs that are like always active, always on the move. Anyone want to comment on that? Or offer a different answer? And if not, that's fine. Okay. 32. Did you notice that we just finished the chapter?
Yes.
And he never explained in the book
No.
No, I'm sorry, it's not explained in the book, but this answers the question why Yesod does not get a state of chesed. States of chesed are only for limbs that are constantly active. What happened to the questions about the esrog and lulav?
Huh.
So here's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Okay, what he left us here like really out on a limb.
Yeah.
It's like you're out on the diving board. They took away the ladder, and there's no water in the pool. What do you do now?
Yeah.
You're
Punt.
25 feet up. Okay.
Punt.
So what he just explained is that we have an interaction between Zerampin and Malchus.
Mhm.
More than that, it's that the first 5 spheres of Zerampin, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and the last 2, Yesod and Malchus. And Yesod is the bris milah, and Malchus we usually say associate it with the female, but technically, and he mentioned it here, I think it's actually the tip or the crown of
Mhm.
the bris. By the way, I don't know if you remember, we had it all the way back at the beginning of the
Mhm.
book. I think in Bereshis, 4 years
Yeah.
ago
The
and 10
tip.
years ago.
Mhm.
So we're actually where you have like 2 groups. We have the first 5, and then we have the last 2. The last 2, usually we say that one group or one set is the 6, and then Malchus is by itself. Here he's saying, no, it's actually 5 are a set, and then Yesod and Malchus, they're left without a state of Chesed and Gvura. So he also said what everything starts with Das. The first of what's the first of the 4 plants mentioned in the Torah? The first of 4 plants was the esrog.
Yes.
The esrog is Malchus. He said on page 637 that the interaction occurs, or what triggers Das is the deeds
Good deeds.
performed from below.
Mhm.
Deeds performed from below is called feminine waters, where I mentioned before that where the woman initiates um, or does things to create arousal in the man. So so that's why the esrog is first, because the esrog represents this malchus, which is the woman initiating, or we here on earth performing good deeds. Next to that, the second one in the Torah is lulav. Lulav is yesod. Malchus goes together with yesod because they're the 2 without states of chesed and states of gvura. And third, we don't do the next one up in the chain. We go to the beginning of Zerampin. We go to the beginning of the 5 states, the spheres with 5 states of Chesed and Gvura from Das, and the next one is the first 3 are Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. I'm sorry, are Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferes, and they correspond to the myrtle, to the Hadass. And when the arousal happens from below, then it triggers Das, which goes downward through Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferes first, which is the myrtle, and then Netzach and Hod, numbers 7 and 8, which is the Arava. So this would explain the order in the Torah. That was some of the questions. We had why we wave the lulav and esrog in 6 directions till Yesod, but we don't wave in the a 7th direction. We make circles, we go around 7 times. On Hoshana Rabbah. I mentioned last week, my understanding is the 7th, the esrog is the heart. And after we
We bring it to
send
that.
the lulav to each direction, we bring it back to the heart.
Mhm.
We go to the south,
Mhm.
to the heart, to the north, to the heart. So it would be involved.
Mhm.
Also, and the esrog is not tied with the others because, and that would also fit with Zeranpin interacting with Nukva.
Mhm.
The esrog is not tied with the other 3 because the esrog stands apart. The esrog is the feminine, is the Nukva, is the feminine sphera, as opposed to the others, which are the male spheres. Why the Hadas has what we said about 3 and 2. If the Hadassim correspond to the eyes, why are there 3 of them and not 2? The only thing I could answer, I think, of that is for the aliens. I don't know.
The all-seeing eye.
The
Yeah.
all-seeing eye? I think the eyes have it. All in favor, say aye. So,
Okay.
anyways, based on this, I think we could answer most of the questions. It's I don't know if the original, if these questions get answered, or if it's left like this, and this, or Rabbi Wisniewski or the publishers here only chose to explain so far. I don't know. But anyways, I think perhaps we can could figure out answers to most of the questions. Comments, feedback, questions. Rotten Tomatoes.
Rudy, say something.
Happy birthday.
What do you say?
He said,
Rudy gonna say Happy Schnitzel Day.
Happy birthday.
"Happy
We wish you a Merry Schnitzel. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
birthday."
Delete.
Delete. You sure I had that recording?
Being recorded.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone have any thoughts?
Still digesting.
What I'm thinking is how I think there's a name for it. I don't how the metaphor is, there's so much we find in the metaphor to explain the Kabbalistic process.
There's also in the addendum, I'm just peeking a little bit, but there is a section on Emor in the addendum.
Chapter 5, though.
Yeah, it's chapter 5, but there's a lot of learning in there about Zeranpin and Nukva. I'm just saying.
We're page
Page
1323.
1323. And it talks about I mean, it's hard to, there's so much stuff in it, I can't skim it, but I can see interactions between Zeranpin and Nukva at the bottom of 324, et cetera, and it gets a little deeper. I'm just saying. So,
Well, page
And-
1088 and 1089.
so
Yeah, you can read that on your own.
Yeah, of Yesod.
Yesod and Zerampin.
Yeah, and Zeranpin. Again, a lot more stuff in each of those. I can just see quickly.
Yeah. Das, 1077.
Yep.
Okay.
See, it's all over the place here.
Yeah.
Well, I have a comment. When you listen to what you expounded upon today, seems like it's all very orderly. The way that the world was created, both in the heavens and down below, and it all interacts in accordance with the way it's supposed to interact. So if there is order, you kind of wonder how the world, both if the world is a reflection of the heavens, how it can sustain chaos.
We read that too. We read the answer. Because
Repeat,
it depends on our actions below.
I understand, but
And when our actions below are not in a manner that causes a healthy interaction between Zerampin and Nukva, or a healthy flow of divine energy, then it's anyone's game.
Which is the major situation that, or the situation that primarily occurs. I think it's the exception that the beneficence flows, and that the chaos and the disorder are the main
is the norm.
the main form of what takes place. I think that's the way you got to look at it.
Again, which means that it's only through divine intervention that the whole place doesn't go bust.
Absolutely, and it's being constantly being recreated every second, every millisecond, every whatever. That creation is an ongoing, out of nothingness process that's always happening.
The other hand, at any moment, if we shape up, things will turn around.
Well, the more we shape up, the more this benevolence flows. The more we do mitzvahs and good deeds, the more it happens. I mean,
I'm saying any moment if the whole world decides.
Yeah, well, the whole world is not in each one of our hands. What's in our hands is what's in our hands.
We have at most 216 years to go.
Yeah.
Not bad. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Norman will be around.
I'll be around.
Lerman will be around?
He just
Okay.
celebrated his 187th birthday.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I thought he was a year younger than me, but maybe I'm wrong.
You're right. He's just counts weird.
All right.
Oy.
Yeah.